What's wrong with this image, mate?
I mean, I can see a lot of that Cobra glove right here. So that's one thing. But really, I'm looking at that face. So as you know, your left hand, but both hands on the club have a lot to do with the face. And so when you start rotating it and really hinging it a little bit too much too early, you're kind of getting inside of this 90-degree angle here. That's going to get the face wide open. So unless you're trying to hit a flop shot, let's try to hit it really high, really soft with a lot of speed, which I doubt that's the case. Let's get those wrist conditions better.
Yeah. And look, you do need to hinge your wrists in the golf swing to load the golf club effectively and create a lot of speed and power through impact, but there's a certain way to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for instance, like if I'll just take this out for the moment, but you're going to see what it's all about here momentarily. So if I just take my grip, if I hinge as much as I possibly can, I can actually hinge a pretty good amount, but you can see that there's quite a cup in my wrist when I do that. If you try to hinge the club up in line with your lead arm, there's only so much that you're going to be able to go until you're going to hit a stopping point. The positive of that is that it also flattens out that wrist. So unless you have a super, super strong grip, generally going to want to have a slightly flat or even bowed wrist at the top of the swing. And so just going more in line with your wrist versus just going up as much as possible is going to help eliminate that. So what's the cheapest, easiest training aid to fix this, Kerrod?
Well, look, I don't have any in my bag, but you've got a bunch here.
We've got one. So we'll do it here. Saved you guys all some money here. No, basically all you do is just kind of slide it in your glove just like that. So you're just going to really feel, if you start to cup your wrist, it's very apparent. And it's much easier, I just think, for you when you're in your golf swing to be able to feel what's happening. I mean, we can video it, you can scrutinize it, etc. But if you can start to feel like, hey, my goal is at the top of my swing to not feel any tee against my forearm, I know that I did a pretty good job. At the same time, if I go to the top here and I cut my wrist, I mean, I'm already feeling it. I'm kind of almost like stabbing the top of my hand with this.
Yeah, make sure you put it with the dull end pointing towards your arm. Rather, if you did it the sharp ends, you would very much so just be digging that straight in there.
Yeah, you got to feel this. We want to make sure you know when you're wrong here.
So, look, at address, there is going to be a slight amount of cup of that lead wrist, and that is important so you can get the golf club kind of low enough and have a neutral grip. But in the backswing, what happens is we go from this cup position to a flat position, really by about club shaft parallel, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, no matter, what the player, we see some players that do it a little bit later and others a little bit earlier. But at the end of the day, especially coming down, it's always going to be flat or even a little bit bowed for most players. So the earlier you can get that, the easier it's going to be for you coming down. And I think a great exercise, in my opinion, for this is to take your setup and just kind of pre-hinge it. And then from here, I don't feel the tee in line with my arm at all. I don't feel the tee digging in at all. And so from my vantage point, my shoulder, my hand, and the club are all in a straight line.
Yeah.
From here, I can go back, and you can see it's relatively flat, and now the face is in a good spot, and I can kind of keep that feel coming down.
And very important to know there, you'll notice that once again, Devan didn't go straight up, because I can feel that digging in. He's going in line with his arm.
Exactly.
Now, the way that I normally get players to focus on this is kind of like a 45-degree angle, but I actually really like the reference you gave of just in line with your arm, because I can see that straight away. And as a result, we're going to get this flat lead wrist. Now, why is it important to get a flat lead wrist, though?
Well, a lot of things. First off, obviously, it heavily affects the face and make sure that you don't have too much hinge or not enough. But it also is going to heavily affect your impact. At impact, you want to have a flat or slightly bowed wrist at impact. That's going to help your attack angle. That's going to help give you shaft lean, increase your smash factor, all the fun things that when you hit those really, really good shots, like, what happened there? Well, I bet your wrist is pretty flat there. So I think that's an easy reason to want to have that flat wrist. And plus, it just is what we see with all the best players. So, for instance, I'll kind of go, and I like that 45 too. Either one works, but for me, like when I look down, my shoulder, my hand, and the club are all in one line. Yeah. And I would just kind of continue on back, and that makes it pretty simple right there.
Perfect. So wrist is flat. Let's say that Devan is also presetting impact by this stage, because impact position, we want a flat left wrist. So getting to that position earlier in the backswing is only going to help him achieve that at impact. And Devan, get back to that point again.
For sure. And they've done a lot of studies. I mean, guys that get into, in a sense, their impact alignments earlier in the downswing tend to be better players.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll also notice as a reference, the angle of that club shaft that Devan has there. And you'll notice it's pointing pretty much down.
Target line, rough.
At the ball line, right? Yeah. Now, if he was in his position that he was at the beginning, or I was in my position, we're going to see that it's going to be very cupped. And then as a result, as you swing to the top, we'll also see it get very narrow. So
very narrow. And being narrow also makes it hard to square the face. A lot of people don't talk about that, but the narrower you are, the harder it is to close the face. The more cupped the wrist, also the harder it is to square the face. So you're going to have a lot of issues hitting it right, or on top of that, just trying to combat against that and having a lot of compounding mistakes.
Thanks for watching this video. YouTube thinks that you would benefit from watching this one next. So click that card and it could be the tip that you need to take your game to the next level. I'll see you next time.